Evening, it is 6:32. Welcome to the November 20th, 2024 regular meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission. This is a hybrid meeting with commissioners, city staff, and members of the public participating from the Arilaga Family Recreation Center in accordance with public health guidelines for in-person meetings and members of the public participating remotely. I would like to introduce commissioners and staff present. Parks and Recreation Commission, Commissioner Kevin Dawkins, Commissioner Dawn Enns, Commissioner Joseph Grass, Commissioner Michelle Sherman, Commissioner Justin Van Buren, and myself, Chair Peter Joshua. Staff present include Library and Community Services Director John Reinhardt, Library and Community Services Supervisor Tricia Mullen, and Management Analyst Ashley Walker. Ashley will be helping facilitate the meeting. Ashley, will you please take a moment and provide instructions to the Commission and members of the public on how the meeting will proceed?
Thank you, Chair. For members of the public who are attending this meeting virtually and wish to provide public comment, after the Chair calls for public comment on the item you wish to speak on, please engage the raise hand feature at the bottom of your screen. For those who are calling in from a landline or cell phone, please press *9 to raise your virtual hand. For members of the public attending in person, there are speaker cards available on the table. Please complete one and turn it into staff before public comment is called for the item you wish to speak on. If there are a large number of public commenters, the time limit may be adjusted by the Chair in order to allow everyone a chance to comment. When your turn for public comment has arrived, staff will unmute you. With that, I'll return the meeting to the Chair.
Okay, the first item is item C1, approved minutes from the October 23rd, 2024 meeting. Ashley, do we have any public comments on this item?
At this time, if you'd like to make public comment on this item, please bring the comment card forward. If you're on Zoom, please notify the staff liaison by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're dialing in, you can use *9 to engage the raise hand function. No public comment.
Okay, we need a motion to approve minutes and a motion to second.
I motion to approve the minutes from the October meeting.
I second the motion.
Can we roll call vote, please?
There's a motion on the floor to approve the October 23rd, 2024 meeting minutes. Commissioner Dawkins, how do you vote?
Approved.
Commissioner Enns?
Approved.
Commissioner Kratz?
Yes, approved.
Chair Joshua?
Approved.
Then no need. Commissioner Van Buren?
Approved.
And the motion passes.
Next, item C2, Quality User Survey Results. Staff will introduce this item.
Well, I think since everyone's seated, I'll just stay seated if that's okay. And I'm doing this presentation and we do have a slide show, so I'm just gonna giving a moment for that. Full screen. All right, so this item is about the aquatics user survey results. This item also was transmitted to the city council in their agenda packet for last night, although it was just an informational report, so there was no comment at that time.
Sorry.
Just sort of presentation. Well, the presentation really is just kind of a summary highlights, because there's a lot of information in the survey, so just calling out a few things for you. Welcome any comments that you might have about it. So this was a citywide survey. It's about the two swimming centers, Burgess Pool and Bellahaven Pool. The commission may remember reviewing the questions back in September. So those are the questions that went out. The survey was active for a month from October 12th to November 11th. Went citywide in English and Spanish, various formats. We got 766 participants, which is very good. About 3/4 of them self-identified as residents of Incorporated City of Menlo Park, which is also very good. And there were 777 free text comments, which we've read through, but we're categorizing them for a next follow-up report. The results are in attachment A. Some highlights for Burgess Pool is that 47, almost half of the respondents said they are frequent visitors, 1 or more times per week. 19% said they never visit Burgess Pool, which is okay, which just shows a strong turnout from users of that pool. 76% of respondents said they're either somewhat satisfied or very satisfied with Burgess Pool, and another 16% have no opinion. So, those are pretty good satisfaction numbers. Only a handful were indicated they were not satisfied. Bellhaven Pool, it's a new facility, it's less used, less traffic, so not surprising, 7% of all of the survey respondents visit Bellhaven Pool frequently at this point, once a week. 68% of the respondents said they've never visited Bellhaven Pool, which is not a total surprise either. It's a new pool and kind of very neighborhood focused. I don't want the 23% somewhat to very satisfied number make it seem like there's low ratings for a Bellhaven Pool, because 73% of respondents said they have no opinion. So of the people who had an opinion, almost all of them said they're satisfied with it. Here's an example of one of the key pieces of data, and I'm sorry the text is a little bit small on this slide, but there are two charts here. The first one is from all of the responses. And the question is, how important are the following things to you? And they're shown here in descending order. So people were rating them from either not important to like very important. I think it's like a scale of 1, 2, 3. So that results in an average, with swimming pools being open year round, being open 7 days per week, that they're focused on the needs of Menlo Park residents, that there are monthly passes available that have discounts for members, lap swimming, and that the swimming pools have discounted fees for residents, are all very, very high, very important. Then there's a number of other elements that are kind of in the mid-range, most of those around specific programming, and some of the least important things were about, not surprisingly, swimming pools attracting people from outside of Menlo Park who pay higher fees. That was lower on the importance scale. In fact, the middle of the scale is an average rating of 2. Lower than that, lower than 2 kind of gets into the less than not important kind of range. So that would be non-residents and also competitive swim for adults, were the two that didn't listen. And comparatively, go ahead to the next slide, please. Thank you. We just pulled out the responses from folks who identified that they live in the Bellhaven neighborhood. Note that there are only 62 responses there, so this is a much smaller data set, but you actually see with some differences, it's pretty much the same layout there of what's really important or not important. So the same concerns seem to be there kind of citywide. Next slide. We also did aquatics open houses and focus groups. We did the open houses at Bellhaven Pool on September 5th and Burgess Pool on September 26th. Not a lot of turnout at those, but it was very quality turnout, got some great input from those participants. We gave a lot of good feedback that's included in the attachments. We also did a separate focus group with the Youth Advisory Committee. They were very enthusiastic, gave a lot of comments and feedback as well. So all of that information is provided in attachment B. And this is kind of leading to kind of a next step, which is the formation of an aquatics working group. The city's agreement with the operator, Menlo Swim and Sport, calls for us to convene a working group of Menlo Park residents to informally meet with the operator and city staff to just give feedback into the aquatics programs on a regular basis. We haven't formed that group yet, but we're looking to do that as the next step. So we're going to be outreaching to folks to invite their participation. We're hoping to get that invitation out probably right after Thanksgiving, with a kickoff meeting in probably January, possibly February, but more likely January. The purpose really is for that group to review the operator's annual performance report each year, calendar year. They give a full performance report. And we also would like the working group to take a look at the survey results we just went over, and to offer any recommendations or feedback based on that. We'll include that assessment and recommendations, if any, with a report to the city council when they review the performance report, which again will be in early 2025. And then finally, the city council, as I mentioned earlier, they received an informational report about the survey last night. There was no comments on it, it was just for information. We anticipate coming back to the city council again in early 2025 with the annual report and also with any potential recommended operational adjustments and also potentially fee adjustments, which is what the city council had asked for the staff to bring some possible fee adjustments back. There's a glamour shot of Bellhaven. Happy to answer any questions that come up.
Couple of questions. Were there any surprises that you saw from the aquatic survey? Did anything surprise you?
You know, I don't think there were any surprises. I think pleasantly surprised at how high the satisfaction rating was. But there is sort of a juxtaposition between the actual survey ratings and then sort of the free text comments. Because the survey ratings show a pretty high level of satisfaction, but not surprisingly, I guess, the free text comments, they tend to focus more on, hey, we wish this was different, we'd like that to be better, which actually is very helpful. I take that to mean that overall, that comes from a place of, hey, this is a great resource, we're pretty satisfied with it, but it can always be better, and here's some suggestions for how it can be better. I don't know, Tricia, you had any other thoughts on that?
Nothing really stood out to me. I think it's all comments that we've heard before and have either, you know, are currently trying to manage or will be prepared to, in partnership with the aquatics operators. Yeah.
And then I noticed that in the responses between Burgess and Bellhaven, there was a lot of similarity in the ratings of the 1, 2, 3 scale. But with Bellhaven, there was maybe more of an emphasis on pricing or affordability. Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there a hyperlocal pricing with that as well, or is that not apply to swimming?
There is, so the hyperlocal discount does apply to swimming, it's generally 35% less than the resident rates. But still affordability is, you know, still an issue, and things are expensive, cost of living is expensive.
Yeah.
Even with the hyperlocal discount, open swim, I think you said $6, don't quote me on that, but I think that's where it is, which seems like that's actually reasonable and kind of comparable to other swim centers, but you know, for something that you might want to do a couple times a week, it can add up pretty fast.
Is that one of these things that you were looking at a fee adjustment for to bring back to city council? And if so, if you thought about like a monthly open swim pass or like open swim like booklet where you get 10 open swims and you get a discount.
Yeah, totally. I know the city council is very interested in trying to keep the fees as reasonable and accessible as possible for residents, while also balancing that, you know, the revenue from the fees is what operates the pool. And so that's one reason why the fees are coming back. There are some opportunities to potentially adjust fees for non-residents, because our standard is for non-residents to pay a 35% premium, typically some variance, but for the most part, the swim fees are not at that level of differential yet. They're all between 10 and 15% higher. They've been that way for a long time. The that difference that is for a long time, but this is the first year that the fees have been set by the city. That's part of the new agreement. Previously, the operator could kind of set the fees, so more according to like just their business model and what's going to work. So we're anticipating. I'm not sure how much room there is to lower resident fees more without really kind of undercutting the revenue that's needed, but we're looking at that. There does seem to be some opportunity in the non-resident fees.
Yeah, I also don't know how much more use you would get or how much more demand there would be that would be met by a negligible reduction in that fee as well, I think.
Yeah, it's a balance, right? Because just like market forces, right? A lower price you would think would lead to higher demand, and it very well may, but it's not a commodity that we're selling, it's a service. So higher demand means you have to, the operating costs go up, right? Because the busier a place is, the more hours you provide, the more you offer of it, and labor being the biggest cost, it makes the cost go up too. So you can take the price way down and usage goes way up, but then you're kind of in a situation where it's hard to pay for the operation to keep up with that new demand. So that's the balance that, trying to, that balance has been struck fairly well, but the, affordability continues to be a bit of a challenge. And we do want to make sure that these are public pools and that they are a public resource that members of the public have access to regardless of their, financial situation.
Thank you.
With the disparity of wealth, would the town entertain sliding scale, or is that just too much or too involved for this
I
program?
know it's possible, and the hyperlocal discount is like one kind of move in that direction. The challenge with like an income-based sliding scale is then you kind of have to, like each individual person or
Yeah.
household, you have to kind of know their income information
A lot more work.
and yeah, it's a lot more work, so trying to like how to do it in a way that's efficient, that kind of gets to the issue. And also looking at what are the comparables, elsewhere in the region, and there are some swim centers with the prices are lower. Many of those swim centers receive, they operate at a loss, and it's just offset by taxpayer subsidy in most cases. And that's certainly a choice that, the city council could potentially make, it's one of the several options that they have.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, what are the, just somebody get an idea what the financial picture of the pool is, like, there's a lot of variables that like, it's 18 years old now, and there's complaints about, there's pitting in the decks and the locker rooms need work. So you're gonna have to balance everything out with like, how much does the city spend the pool, how much renovation would it need? And, where in the process are we find out about that, will the working group look into that? Or is there something we can find out?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad to get it because it gives an opportunity to talk a little bit about the responsibilities of the city and the operator. So the way our agreement is structured, the city is really responsible for the physical facility. We own the facility, we maintain it. The operator does some day-to-day maintenance on the chemicals and other things like that. But it really is the city's facility, and the operator provides the services. So a lot of but the two kind of go together, because the people's experience at the pool, it's the services and it's the state of the facility. To get to your question, the working group, I think the main focus is going to be on programs and services. That's really where the operator's responsibility lies, and so they're in that discussion. When it comes to like the Burgess Pool in particular, where there are some renovations that are needed, I know that next year there is on deck in our capital improvement program to renovate the locker rooms, which has been they've been in need of renovation for a while, so it's time. The pool deck is a little bit bigger of a project, but it's definitely on like the radar to push forward within the next couple of years.
Okay.
That will be a little more extensive and involve probably closing the pool for a fairly substantial period of time. So then like winter would be a good time to do it, but the weather doesn't always cooperate with pouring concrete, so we're working that out. So the PRC will see some updates on the locker room renovations, probably in the first part of next year. And then by the time budget and capital improvement program rolls around in June, we'll be talking about the larger scale. In addition to the pool deck, there's also the electrification of the equipment, because right now the heaters are gas fired, and we are going to transition all of that to electric.
Great. Actually, do the, I'm sorry, you had a question.
Yeah.
One quick, do they still put a bubble, over the pool during the winter?
Yeah, great question. We had a bubble, the dome, it's like an inflatable kind of dome. Was there for several years. It reached the end of its lifespan and it had to be removed. There was, we did a lot of study on options for something more permanent, which turned out to be pretty cost prohibitive in the big picture, like an actual permanent retractable dome. And then we decided not to go back to the inflatable dome. One of the big challenges there, besides keeping it in good condition, is that the pools they off gas a lot. There's chlorine, and so when you enclose the pool, then you have to really exhaust those gases out, and it was just an ongoing challenge with the dome. It's just making sure those gases went in there. So for now, that's kind of on the back burner.
Okay,
Is there pressure from the operators to raise fees or no?
I wouldn't say pressure, there was one other element of this question, which I'll answer here, which is the operator's annual performance report, which is due to the city in the beginning of next year, will include financial information. The operator, they just opened the new Bellhaven pool, and it's less used than the Burgess pool, but open the same number of hours. It requires kind of the same number of personnel. So initial feedback we've gotten from the operator is, they're looking at that just from a financial sustainability perspective. Certainly raising fees is something that would help quite a bit, and I know that the operator is interested in it for the city. But I think our focus would be on the non-resident fees if there were increases, so that's kind of where we're at. And the city council will be tackling that discussion early next year. Thank you. That's great questions.
Ashley, do we have any public comment on this item?
I'm gonna call public comment, but I have a quick question. Commissioner Sherman, did I skip you in the roll call vote for minutes?
Yeah, but that's okay.
I'm sorry, I'm sitting hard sitting behind people. I couldn't see the mouse for so sometimes I mess up. How do you vote for the minutes?
Oh, do I approve? Is that?
Yes. It's because, okay. So I'll call for public comment now. At this time, if you'd like to make a public comment, please bring the comment card forward. If you're on Zoom, please notify the staff liaison by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're dialing in, you can use *9 to engage the raise hand function. No public comment.
Okay, thank you. With that, public comment is closed, and we'll open the item for commission discussion. I think we preempted that. I did have one additional question. There were 400 discrete comments. How do you vet those in terms of who looks at them? And do you put them into buckets, and this is something that is responsible to the city, is responsible to the operator? I mean, it's things like shadow, things like that.
Yes, so first we go through them and just make sure that anything that might need to be redacted is redacted. So any like specific like names or any personal attacks, there wasn't really any of that. Then we go through and try to like categorize them. Here's like these are facility related, these are program related. That'll be in the next wave of the report. We actually lately have taken to, after humans, we did that with city staff, and we kind of do that categorization. We have this quantity, we've actually been running them through AI just to like see what it spits out. I'm like, hey, does that match, miss anything? So that's been a helpful kind of check and very efficient. And then any like actionable things like the shower, temperature, many of those things have already been kind of on our radar or suggested through other means, and then we do like triage those and assign them out to, for example, public works would be for like things related to the plumbing. When it comes to things like buying more benches in the locker room, that would be something that Tricia really gets. So we do that. We wish we could run these surveys all the time because it's such a wealth of information, but we do have the suggestion boxes, which are pretty active. So we're kind of constantly getting that feedback.
This pool allocation, is that the responsibility of the operator or the city?
Pool allocation.
So if you're allocating for classes, or if you're allocating time for lap swimming, time when that is available.
This operator and the city work together on that. In their agreement, there's kind of a certain baseline that they need to provide of the different types of classes. Arranging the schedule is really up to the operator because they're best situated to kind of know what's going to work best, but they do have to run it by city staff approval.
Question, you said you're bringing it back to city council in January. Or in the.
Probably February.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just gonna check on a date and make sure.
Yeah, we want to get the aquatics working group convened, get their feedback. We need to get the annual report from the operator. We're actually going to do an independent financial review, just to kind of check their numbers. We don't have any reason to think there's anything wrong there, but since that's part of the agreement, it's like, hey, let's do our due diligence and do that in January, so that'll take some time, so February's more likely.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, moving on to item C3, approve 2025 Parks and Recreations Commission meeting calendar. Okay, we have a presentation, that's well.
Not necessarily a presentation, but we do have the draft calendar for 2025. Ashley, can you pull that up, please? So in the interest of, kind of reviewing the calendar, identifying any potential conflicts with holidays, we wanted to bring it to the commission for approval. Recognizing that the typical meeting is on the fourth Wednesday at 6:30, and just like now, November, December tends to be a bit conflicting. And then recognize that there may be other commissions that are being hosted at the same time. And that we may want to do joint meetings with the library commission. So on the calendar, the draft calendar, the blue is the meeting or the tentative meeting or the scheduled meeting. And then the orange is like a city holiday identified on the document.
So if I may, I think the one, I saw up in there, so I think the ones to really just call out that are maybe deviations from that fourth Wednesday would be in May. Still the fourth Wednesday, but we're proposing that to be a joint library commission, Parks and Rec commission meeting. In part because that will be the 1-year anniversary of the Bellhaven Community Campus opening. So we thought we'd have that meeting at the BACC and maybe do just something to recognize that milestone. And then if you scroll down a little bit more, I think the only other deviations are typically in November and December to avoid that fourth week. So November, the proposal is just to move it up and meet on the third Wednesday instead, which is November 19th. And then in December, we propose to do what we're planning to do next month, which is a joint meeting with the library commission, where we do a year in review, just have a social afterwards. And since this year, that year in review is happening on the Wednesday, which is the Parks and Rec Commission's day, if you will. We're proposing to have it on Monday, which is the Library Commission's day, and it also works out because it's a little bit earlier in the month. December 15th is the specific date.
Ashley, do we have any public comment on this item?
At this time, if you'd like to make public comment, please bring your comment forward. If you're on Zoom, please notify the staff liaison by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're dialing in, you can use *9 to engage the raise hand function. Thank you. No public comment.
Thank you. With that, public comment is closed and we'll open the item for commissioner discussion. Any questions? There, we need a motion to approve and one to second.
Motion to approve. Second.
There's a motion to approve the 2025 PRC calendar. Commissioner Dawkins, how do you vote?
Approve.
Commissioner Adams? Approve. Commissioner Grass?
Approve.
Chair Joshua?
Approved.
And Commissioner Sherman? Approved. And Commissioner Van Buren?
Approve.
Perfect, the motion passes.
Okay, got everyone on that one?
Yes, so,
Okay, item C4, policy updates, signage display policy, staff and presentation.
So staff wants to bring the policy, the signage display policy, to the commission for review and recommendation. The policy is in your packet, it's attachment A. So the policy regulates authorization and display of temporary promotional and informational signs, banners, flyers, signs, and other displays on city-owned facilities for current groups with agreements based on programming. The purpose is to promote authorized uses of city facilities, to restrict unauthorized use and protect and enhance physical appearance of the city facilities. Licensed users would request permission to temporarily display signage in designated areas, ensuring that all of the criteria listed is met, and a written agreement with the city is in place. And to ensure that as far as they are not in violation of city policy within the last 24 months, and they are in good standing with the city processes. So that is the gist of the policy, just gives us the ability to ensure that anything posted is authorized.
Ashley, do we have any public comment on this item?
At this time, if you'd like to make public comment, please bring the comment card forward. If you're on Zoom, please notify the staff liaison by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're dialing in, you can use *9 to engage the raise hand function. No public comment.
Yeah, thank you. With that, public comment is closed on this item. And the item is open for commission discussion.
Were these just signage policies that you kind of had like unofficially or de facto, and you're just trying to make it more
This
solidified?
formalizes the process and the expectations for the users.
Yes, and also gives us a little bit more of the ability to regulate unauthorized signs.
Yeah.
Like banners, you can put them on like the baseball field fence, things like that.
Is this completely new? Or is this just,
This is a new policy as far as like in written form, yeah.
and what's it based on with, how did it originate? Because it's a lot. Was it,
Well, we
was it some
have other-
template that you followed from somewhere?
We have other policies like the event sponsorship policy, which I think the PRC looked at a few months back. That kind of specifies when what advertisements sponsors of events can display. The library has like a bulletin board policy. I think there's a couple of other policies that are kind of similar. And then there was like past practice where contracted like instructors or like little leagues, you know, they had a good practice where, yeah, they put their banner on the fence. And so it's just kind of capturing all of that in one place, so we have an easy reference.
So I haven't gone through this completely, as I said, it's pretty involved. Is there any regulation that stipulates that you can't attach signage to city property, such as fence, such as legal secure, you know, something to the fence, is there something specifically for that?
Yeah, in this policy, it really specifies a few things. One is the signage must be authorized by the city to go up. The second is that the city will put it up and take it down. Third is that the city can remove any sign that doesn't comply with policy, and you don't necessarily have to contact the owner of the sign if it's an unauthorized sign. And also that there's like kind of limits on the sizes of signs, maximum sizes, and that those can vary depending on the location. So if the location won't hold a really big sign, then it starts that interactive process with the staff, so we can kind of identify the suitability. And again, we control the types of attachments and things like that on the fence.
Do you see this adding workload to staff?
I do see it adding a little workload to staff, but hopefully saving some workload, because there is a fair amount of time spent like policing unauthorized signs and talking to folks who put signs up where they shouldn't put up signs, or I don't want to say adjudicating, but kind of getting in the middle of complaints about, you know, their sign, they took our sign down, put this sign up, and so hopefully this will save time on that end. We'll add time because we have to then approve signs, but it's for preserving the aesthetic of the community, so it's worth doing.
Is there any flexibility with sign dimensions? Like say, I would like to put up instead of a 96-inch, an 8-foot wide sign, I would like to put up a 10-foot wide sign that says Library and Community Services Director Sean Reithart is a nice person. But it can't all fit, it can't all fit in 8
I
feet.
think somewhere in the policy,
So I
that
need
the sign
to
has to
extra
be
feet.
truthful.
But is there, I know it says that they'll vary, is there any leeway there, like?
I think there is some leeway depending, there is leeway in here. I'm not sure if I can think of a specific example, but if the location is such that an 8-foot sign is like actually not large enough to be seen.
Mhm.
You know, like especially like a sign that's meant to be visible from by traffic passing by, like on a major thoroughfare. I could see a case being made and we would make an exception. Yeah, like the banners that go over Santa Cruz are definitely bigger than.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes I see a small banner up there, well, should we put up a bigger banner? We need a big one up there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, I motion to approve the sign regulations.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion second.
There's a motion to approve the signage display policy. Commissioner Dawkins, how do you vote?
Approved.
Commissioner Evans?
Approved.
Commissioner Grass?
Approved.
Chair Joshua?
Approved.
And Commissioner Sherman?
Approved.
And Commissioner Van Buren?
Absolutely approved.
Absolutely. Okay, all right, the motion passes.
Okay, item B1, performance statistics and recent activities.
Okay, we do have a presentation for this one. Ashley, please, thank you. So for November 2024, just want to go over some of the statistics. Those are in your packet, attachment A, I believe. So some of the general statistics for the department, new recreation client accounts increased by 77% from October 2023 to October 2024, equaling about 380 new accounts created, and that's just within the system. And then Belhaven Community Campus began accepting facility rental applications in September, drawing 14 rentals in this existing 2024 fall to date. Senior center lunches served an increasing 77% from October 2023 to October 2024. Now about 1,132 lunches served. Belhaven Library program attendance almost tripled from October 2023 to October 2024. And complete year-over-year statistics are in attachment A. With that, Halloween statistics. So really exciting Halloween this year. The Halloween Hoopla Parade and Carnival attendance increased approximately 36% from 2023 to 2024. We had about 1,500 attendees. Some of you were there. Dozens of downtown merchants participated in the merchant trick or treat, drawing hundreds of potential customers to their businesses. The Pumpkin Splash added a second location at Belhaven Pool, in addition to Burgess Pool, increasing total attendance approximately 50% from 2023 to 2024, equaling about 150 attendees. A new trunk or treat event at Belhaven Community Campus proved instantly popular, drawing in a higher than anticipated attendance of approximately 215 people. We had to pull some candy from other places to be able to provide it. Let's see, new youth swim team, Belhaven swim team. Belhaven Youth Swim Team is a USA Swimming sanctioned program that provides opportunities for swimming and enrichment to economically disadvantaged youth in the Menlo Park area. They offer academics, athletic and integral life skills, including tutoring, book clubs, and ACT prep to assist student athletes for success in the classroom as well as in the water. Initial tryouts were held on November 5th, November 7th, November 12th, and November 14th. Interested youth swimmers can learn more about Belhaven Youth Swim Team by visiting the team's website, which is attachment B. Belhaven Youth Center Playground is now open on the weekends, now open to the public on the weekends when the Belhaven Youth Center students are not present. So it wasn't open on the weekends in the past, so it currently is. Public access hours are Saturdays and Sundays from 9 a.m. To sunset. Playground equipment is recommended for children ages 5 to 12 years, so limited age range. Members of the public can access the playground on weekends by using the outdoor gate located on the Kelly Park side of the Belhaven Community Campus building. So just creating a little better access to that park or playground. Pilot, so we're currently under a pilot for makerspace drop-in hours. Drop-in hours are available when Bellhaven Library is open, except when the makerspace is otherwise scheduled for organized programs, classes, workshops, and rentals. A dynamic multi-use space that can accommodate a range of community programs, including traditional arts and crafts, technology-aided creative work, and hands-on workshops. The makerspace is regularly programmed with free community programs, including free programs for seniors and youth, as well as fee-based creative and educational classes. The makerspace and its outdoor terrace also are available for rentals. Hourly rental rates are listed in the city's master fee schedule. Additionally, makerspace has drop-in hours and that are intended to be casual in nature. In-house equipment and materials are not available during unsupervised drop-in hours. Makerspace drop-in visitors should bring all their own materials and equipment with them and remove them when they leave. Typical materials or equipment a visitor might bring include drawing paper, non-toxic paints and brushes, knitting materials, puzzles, model kits with non-toxic glues and paints, a laptop and headphones, or simply a book to read. Visitors are welcome and encouraged to share the space, help keep it in good working condition for all to enjoy, and share feedback and ideas to help inform the planning of activities and projects for the future open lab hours planned in 2025. Shop local, light up the season. Menlo Park residents are invited to ring in the holiday shopping season with a festive winter wonderland themed event in downtown Menlo Park. Visitors will enjoy free family-friendly entertainment, youth performances, hot cocoa and cider, quantities limited, and the lighting of the big oak tree. Visitors are highly encouraged to shop and dine at local Menlo Park businesses while they are downtown for the event. Rain or shine on Friday, December 6th from 5:30 to 7 at Fremont Park, Santa Cruz and University Drive. And let's see, photos with Santa. This beloved family event will be held in a new location for 2024 at the Bellhaven Community Campus. Attendees are encouraged to bring their cameras and come together for holiday cheer with a delicious breakfast, fun holiday crafts, and photos with the North Pole's most famous inhabitant. Advanced reservations are required. Tickets are $5 per person. Rain or shine on Saturday, December 14th from 8:30 to 12:30 at Bellhaven Community Campus, 100 Terminal Avenue. So that's just an overview of what's happening in the department.
Thank you. Ashley, do we have any public comment inside?
At this time, if you'd like to make a public comment on this item, please bring the comment card forward. If you're on Zoom, please notify the staff liaison by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're dialing in, you can use *9 to engage the raise hand function. No public comment.
Thank you. That public comment is closed and we'll open the item to conclusion staff.
My other kind of all have been super fun, so thank you all for.
Being there.
I think you mentioned that there were 14 facility rentals at Bellhaven. Is that meeting expectation? And if so, what do you anticipate for 2025?
Yeah, that's a strong start. I think we've probably gotten a few more even since the report went out. The interest has been very strong. So I think we'll see how it goes over the winter and look at the statistics. But that the facility is already pretty well programmed with all of the free community programs, some of the fee-based classes. So 14 rentals with that limited overlay is still very strong. So we're very pleased with the turnout for rentals.
Okay, no, that's good, because I think it's actually a great facility, so it's good to see that it's being utilized by the community so strongly.
Also has a local rate for residents who live within the service area, and that's proven to be a great incentive. In birthday parties, we just had a local resident celebrate his 101st birthday at the Bellhaven Community Campus, which was a really nice event, and I think they were very appreciative they had that special celebration there.
It's great to hear.
In the makerspace, you can bring in certain materials, is that space monitored at least on a regular basis, when bringing us somebody's in there?
Yes, thank you for asking. So it's right adjacent to the library space. So the library staff is right there in the library. You can see in there. During the drop-in hours, it's like a pilot phase, so it is unsupervised. So the in-house stuff is not available yet. We want to give people access to it and they can bring in their own things. If there's any violations of like the use policy there, the staff is present. They're just right there in the next room, glass walls, glass doors. When the open lab hours start up next year, there will be a staff positioned in the room. The equipment that's in the room will be on and available, supplies will be available, and so they'll be more directly there to be hands-on to help people.
With a lot more usage, and this report seems to show there's a lot more usage of city resources. How does that tally up with the personnel resources within the department?
Yeah, you know, it's a balance, right? Because we are seeing the Belhaven Community Campus become busier and busier, which is great. We have the staffing to accommodate the programs that are there. We've taken a kind of phased approach. So like the playground just started to open up. The makerspace, we're now starting to do the drop-in hours. So it's more like coming up to that full capacity. Up to this point in time, a lot of the effort has been on startup related activities. And so that's why we phased in some of the programs, because just getting accustomed to the building, introducing people to it, showing them around, kind of getting the feel for the building, implementing all of our many procedures and processes. We sort of moved past that phase, and then that capacity is freed up to expand our programs.
Are there planned staffing increases for next year?
You know, our staffing analysis in the run-up to opening the facility did recommend adding 6 new full-time equivalent staff at the time due to lots of budget demands and constraints. The city council authorized 3 new FTE full-time equivalent staff positions in order to really deliver on all of the desired programs and services. We would need to add approximately 3 more full-time equivalent personnel. There are some things we can do to kind of make it work. For example, leaning more on contracted instructors. So for example, some of the makerspace, like open lab hours, we're in talks with some local nonprofits to potentially kind of manage that portion of the program. So that's not like a direct city cost. It's like a win-win because the nonprofit needs space in exchange for having access to the space. You know, we asked them to also offer public open lab hours. So trying to get as creative as we can, be as judicious as possible with city resources.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. To clarify, I didn't see mentioned the wine walk that happened on Santa Cruz Avenue last weekend. Is that something that's within the purview of,
Great question. How was the event, by the way?
it was good. It was very well attended.
Nice. So that event actually was not organized by the city. I think it was some downtown merchants who organized that. I think they have come together under the banner of Menlo Park Design District, I think is what they kind of call themselves. So they completely organized that event, and I think that's great.
No, because it definitely seemed to bring more people into Santa Cruz Avenue on Saturday afternoon, which obviously is beneficial hugely for the local merchants.
Yeah. I mean, one looks great.
Thank you.
With the youth swim team, how they had the tryouts on those 4 days, just before today in November. How was the turnout for that?
I'm not sure.
I don't
Did
have
you
an
get any?
update other. I do not have an update, but I can provide it.
Okay. We will put that in next month's report. Yeah.
I would like to know, there were tons of people showed up. They had turned some members away because there were so many outstanding members of the local swimming community or.
Not sure that we're gonna report that next month. I do know that there was a lot of interest in forming the swim team at the Bellhaven pool, and that's one reason why, the operator could have arranged for that, so. You know, my expectation and hope is that there was a good turnout, but we don't know yet.
And so is the operator the one who would also be supervising the swim team?
Yes,
Okay.
so anything program related, the operator really handles that.
How long have we used this operator?
Their current agreement, began in October of last year and is for 5 years.
Okay. And they were due last year.
Oh, no, Menlo Swim and Sport, has been, working for the city at the pools, I think since 2006. Not always at the Bellhaven pool though, they started at the Burgess pool. There was a period in time where, Menlo Swim and Sport operated Burgess pool and the city operated Bellhaven pool. Then I think it was around 2011 or thereabouts that, the aquatics operator also took on Bellhaven pool.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, with that we'll move on to item D2, tentative agenda calendar.
Okay, so we have the tentative agenda calendar. Ashley, can you pull that up? Yeah. Thank you so much. So tonight, November 20th, moving into December 18th, we have our year in review. And then also an open house and social with joint with the library commission the third Wednesday of December. January 22nd, a lot of staff presentations coming up, some presentation on community events, actually youth advisory committee presentation, and then draft survey will come to the commission potentially in January for review. February 26, 2025, advisory body attendance report, so just a general report on the attendance of the PRC, and then the annual performance report for aquatics. March 26, 2025, staff presentations on gymnastics, and then the survey results for the recreation community programs. April 23rd, staff presentations on sports and outdoor recreation. And then we have unscheduled future topics being recreation programming, programs for aging adults, and then updates on tennis and pickleball feasibility study and the Parks and Recreation Facility Master Plan. Those items are not currently scheduled.
Actually, we have no comment on this item.
At this time, if you'd like to make a public comment, please bring a comment card forward. If you're on Zoom, please notify the staff to raise one by using the raise hand feature at the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you're dialing in, you can use *9 to engage the raise hand function. No public comment.
Thank you, that public comment is closed, and we'll open the item for commission discussion. Question, reallocation of recreation space, field space to organized groups. I've never seen a policy or plan on how that is implemented. And I don't know where that would fit into the agenda.
So potentially we can include that in the sports and outdoor recreation presentation, but if you want us to consider bringing that before then, we're happy to.
Yeah, I don't know how much information would actually be available, that I've been asked by that myself, my sports organizations, how this process works, and I have no idea how it would work, so with some review, that would be very beneficial.
Yeah, so, a good amount of that information is available on the website. Since that's already public information, we probably could just follow up with an email to the commission, just linking to the existing website. And then, maybe since next month's meeting is really just kind of like a year in review, joint meeting, with the other commission, maybe in January, we can plan to, give a little bit more information, in particular about the next field allocation process, maybe have the recreation coordinator, Kiefer, come in, that way you have the person there if there's any questions about the specifics of how the process has been working. Yeah, great, we'll do that.
Sure.
I want to talk about one item, which is the update on pickleball feasibility study. I think I heard that maybe that was prioritized by council, or what's the status and the status of the feasibility study? And at some point, should we take it up and discuss if we want to direct council to take that up? So.
Yeah, I think the answer was sort of baked into the question you asked, which is that when the city council reviewed the proposed addendum to the Parks and Recreation Facilities Master Plan to, undertake like a study of feasibility of additional pickleball and/or tennis courts, the city council, appreciated the work, understood the importance of that question, but given all of the other priorities and demands citywide, so hey, this item could go on the back burner for now, and let's bring it back at a future time. And so I'm thinking that future time is probably spring, just to kind of bring it back and see if there's interest in proceeding again. Because again, the crux of the proposal really is to do a study citywide. What are the opportunities for additional space for pickleball and or tennis? And that's the item that the city council said, well, let's pull back on that for now. And then at the same time, let's also not include that addendum in the master plan just yet. But that wasn't like a never do it kind of direction. It was more like, not right now, there's too many other things going on. That was several months ago at this point, so it does seem appropriate to bring it back early next year. So kind of looking at where the unscheduled item, might slot in, that might be something the commission could recommend now, particular month. I'm kind of looking at January, I think might be a little too soon, and we do have the Youth Advisory Committee presentation already teed up and a pretty significant survey we'd like to spend some time on with you before we put it in the field. And then February, I think we'll be very heavily focused on aquatics. So maybe March looks fairly light. We'll be looking at the survey results, but I think there's room to also talk about this item.
Yeah. Just depends on that.
So work for everybody, put it back in March.
No, and thank you.
And specifically about tennis and pickleball, right?
Yeah, and just the reason why I bring it up too, is like just something, there's to be really, well, there's some conflict out there. There were some I've been speaking to people offline. My kids play pickleball, they also play tennis. And there's clashing between communities, and I think this is something we should really get ahead of. And just to speak very plainly, I think pickleball is a great sport. I also play tennis, and it's a growing sport. And some people think it's really great. We need a lot more pickleball, and other people think it's displacing other things. And it's just, I think it's a brewing conflict in the community we should really address. And I think that's one thing the Parks and Rec Commission should do, is get ahead of changing activities that are out there and just manage this for the community. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that, just to, and just for this, for the March agenda, to just basically just discuss it and say, okay, do we think it's a priority? We should ask the city council to go and just do this study. And then just the parameters are just, where can we add pickleball? My own personal thought is, I think we need to get on the ball and actually plan to put in some courts, and because I think there's some demand for the community. And then also, but again, look at that in context with tennis as well. So anyway.
Yeah, it looks like there's general agreement for that, and since we have new commissioners, I think since the last time the commission really delved into the topic, it seems very like a good idea to bring it back. We can bring back sort of the past work that has been done and pick up the thread from there.
Right.
I think that's the meeting where we just have pickleball. We're going to pickleball meeting.
Yes.
I would also have a question regarding the unscheduled future topic of recreation programming. When would you intend to have that before you put out like summer rec options, or how would that, do we know?
That would be doable and something that we could present our summer specific is if that's what the commission is looking for. And then, you know, or we could do just a general, you know, this is kind of what we're doing. And go back to, you know, potentially the survey, and the kind of the next steps regarding that.
Yeah, maybe if there's, let's see, because April has the sports and outdoor recreation, right, but maybe. Depending on the outcome of the survey, wanna either do 2 presentations that night or do sports and recreation together, because they are kind of simpatico in a number of ways, they sort of overlap. Or possibly if they have to be 2 separate months, then maybe do recreation first and then sports. But we'll get a calendar, and maybe the next iteration of this tentative calendar, we'll plug in the rest of the dates for the whole calendar year. We try to have that look back in there, but maybe for January, we'll, you know, just do a whole year's worth, so we can just start plugging things in.
Thank you.
Not for a the pickleball thing, but have people heard about paddleball, which is apparently also very up and coming, also very like popular in other communities in Menlo Park or no?
You know, it hasn't organically been mentioned in the conversation, we're aware of paddleball.
Supposed to be quieter.
smash ball and some others, yes, so. We. It would be great to hear from folks who want to, you know, spaces to play different sports, so we really welcome that, but so far that hasn't been a front of mind kind of, part of that discussion. There's been some discussion about there's quieter equipment, balls that make, and paddles that make a little bit less loud of a popping sound. Our experience has been that that's great, but then when the expectation is on every user to use a certain type of equipment, that becomes really difficult to like police and enforce. Some people do, some people don't. So it's probably not like a solution in and of itself. It needs to be kind of a combination of things. And I think some of it really does boil down to multiple needs in a limited amount of space and trying to balance all that.
And just in general, one of the other items that is on the tentative or the unscheduled items is the Parks and Rec facility master plan that will look at everything as a whole for recreation, so we can try to fit that in on the calendar.
Yeah, I guess I would say that's, I mean, a plan is almost like you're adopting a plan. I think we need to study for like just racket sports in general. So, you know, you were mentioning, yeah, the paddleball, pickleball, and tennis all go together. They kind of seem to use the same space. But it's complicated because there's, you know, there's ideas you can take over, like maybe part of the basketball court over in Burgess. Or build something else out there or build a park. It's just really complicated, so. But I think we should, I don't know if the master plan is the place to necessarily do it because, but unless, before we study it and see what's feasible.
Sure.
But I think they do go hand in hand. We'd like to get this into the master plan for sure.
Okay, any questions on the consent agenda? Okay, we want to the last item. Would any commissioner like to make a short report on item of interest to the entire commission? The meeting is adjourned at 7:35. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.